nice that you're here to share your story and talk to students about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And along that line, we'd like to ask you what kind of advice you have for people just going into journalism, especially right now when fake news is really, how to keep your integrity.
It's tough. And when I got started, people had great respect for journalists. And now, 30, 40 years later, they don't. And I mean, the respect for journalists has gone way down. I think it's because there's so many people expressing opinions on television, and folks don't know what the truth is. Folks want the facts, and too often, if they watch one channel, they get one side of the story. If they watch another channel, they get another, and they're confused.
Mm-hmm.
And often when I was getting started, commentary, when I would give my opinion, was labeled as commentary.
Right, yeah.
Now it's not, so you don't know whether someone is expressing a personal point of view or just giving you the news. So the audience is sometimes confused and angry because they feel like we take our sides too often. So my advice was not to give up, to try to restore integrity. We need great young minds who write great stories without taking sides, and social media has been the worst at it because everyone has an opinion on social media.
Right, yeah, they do.
And just there's so many outlets out there. There's television and there's print and there's social media now telling us, pretending to be telling us, giving us information, and it's confusing, as I said. So I think the networks do a better job, and even local television does a good job of bringing you the news and not taking sides. I can tell you that at ABC and at CBS and NBC, when I write a script, it's also reviewed by ethics people and lawyers at ABC. I can't just go on the air and blurt out what I feel happened today. It is scrutinized, and it should be, by other people at my network to make sure that what I'm saying is true and that it's not John Quiñones expressing an opinion. I'd like to think that I'm from a school, I went to Columbia University, I got a master's in journalism, that I learned how to write well and how to be honest in my reporting. But it's good that you have someone overseeing that. So for young people, I would say, get an internship, have integrity, I had an old journalism professor who used to say, if you're on an island somewhere and you write a story, and no one will know that what you're writing is false, or wherever you might be, and you write a story and they don't know that what you're writing is false, you would know it's false. So let that be your guide, yourself, your own integrity. That's what I would say to young people getting started is get an internship, learn as much as you can, read as much as you can, and read from different sources, read different publications, watch Fox News, but also watch CNN and ABC and CBS, and just be honest and truthful, and try to shine a light on issues that are important and issues that are close to us. Me as a Latino, I love telling stories along the U.S.-Mexico border in Latin America, because I can go to places where I can speak my language and speak Spanish and English and get a story that maybe someone who doesn't speak Spanish isn't able to get. As a person of color, you can go places where people will open up to you because they may not find you intimidating. You look hip and young, and they might open up to you, young folks, more quickly than they would to me, who they might perceive as whatever. Or you can go do stories. Not that you should ever be relegated to do stories about women, but you will have an edge there. You will have an edge if you're talking, abortion or issues that are sensitive like that to women especially. They are to all of us, but to women especially. You can get a story from a young woman who might be pregnant that maybe I couldn't or he couldn't because you have a certain sensitivity to that. So let's capitalize on the places where we can go and get stories that are unique. And that'll make you a better reporter, and that'll get you notoriety. That certainly would work for me. I went to Latin America. When I was hired by ABC, I was based in Miami, but because I speak Spanish, I went to Cuba, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Brazil, Chile, Argentina. That was my world, and I was able to carve out a niche for myself as a reporter because I capitalize on that which I know and that which is within me, and the ability to speak Spanish and to understand other customs.
My next question kind of ties into where you were shipped off to.
Okay.
You also went to Calcutta once, right?
Yeah.
So going to all these foreign countries and doing this show, what would you do? Do you have a place in your heart for like the lesser here, the little people?
Of course.
Yes. You know, where did that come from? That's
From my own experience growing up, we were very poor. I grew up in the barrio. You know, we didn't have a bathtub or a shower in my little house in San Antonio, and it was it was the U.S. But my dad, did yard work. I was a janitor. My mom used to clean houses, and
strawberries.
yeah, in San Antonio. Then we became migrant farm workers, so we picked cherries here in Michigan, in Northport, Michigan, north of Traverse City. One summer when I was 13. We didn't do it every summer, but it left an impact, man. Picking cherries and doing that kind of hard work. We would get paid 75 cents to fill a bucket strapped around our neck. And it would take me like 2 hours to fill that darn bucket for 75 cents. It's 33 cents an hour, 7 cents an hour. Then we pick tomatoes in Ohio. So I think a lot of that comes from me knowing what it's like, and me going through discrimination and going to places in Ohio on Sundays when we would be finished picking tomatoes and people would follow us around the stores because they thought, these are Mexicans, they're going to steal something. And, we were dressed, kind of raggedy because we couldn't afford anything. So that never leaves you and makes me want to shine a light on issues like that because I've been there. I know what it's like. So even on What Would You Do, which was an offshoot of my reporting, we did scenarios about, Latinos being followed around in a store, or a guy with tattoos being refused service, or a black person, also folks presuming the worst because of the way you appear, either as a woman or a young man with long hair, or
being Latino, or
they'll find a reason.
or an older student, anything.
So, that happens, and we just need to shine a light on it, and that's what I like to do. I call it just shining a light on the darkness, journalism. Imagine this room is pitch dark, and there's a storm outside, and we can't find the exits, and we can't see our hands in front of our faces. Journalism is the candle in the darkness. It's like the person in that room with a little candle or a little flashlight, and they can shine it on the darkest corners of the room to illuminate injustice, to illuminate corruption, to illuminate civil rights violations and human rights violations. I think when journalism is done right, those are the kinds of stories we should be doing. There are feature stories to be done, fun stories, but the ones I love is where I get to shine a light on something that's wrong out there.
That's our purpose.
And change the world for the better.
Yeah, that's the
If you
whole
scratch
purpose
any
of it.
journalist, you'll find underneath that a reformer, someone who wants to make the world a better
That's
place.
true. That's very true. I'd say that of all of us.
Yeah.
And speaking of, the change in journalism, what have you seen has changed the most from when you started till now? Probably goes back a little bit to the whole fake news and.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that people are giving opinions on television when it's not labeled as opinion, and the audience knows it, and the audience has also become separated and dissected. It seems like folks now will go to a channel that only confirms what they already believe. So you're not getting educated, you're not getting news that'll shape your sense of reality, you're getting news that you just understand. And that brings up ratings for those channels, but it's not just about ratings, it should be more than that. It should be about, educating the audience, illuminating the audience on issues that need to be illuminated, So that's what's changed. I think the fact that opinion is not labeled as opinion too often, and I would like to think that those of us at ABC News, that when you watch David Muir on World News Tonight, or Juju Chang on Nightline, or Robin Roberts or George Stephanopoulos on Good Morning America, or John Quiñones on 2020 and What Would You Do, you understand that we're not giving opinions. It's not just us. But the audience, it's hard for them to see that. They think we're all fake news. It didn't help that our president started calling all of us fake news, and people turned against us because that's what the president said, you must know. Well, it wasn't true. I mean, the fact is we worked really hard. I went to Columbia University. I have a master's in journalism. I studied really hard at an Ivy League school. I was very lucky to get there, but to learn how to tell stories and to do it with integrity. So it hurts when people call us fake news, because I know how hard I've worked to tell the truth, and I continue to tell the truth as best as I can.
Yeah, there's one more question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, what type of advice would you give to someone like me, Vincent, or Misty, in the student setting? You know, what type of advice would you give?
As much as you might want to give your opinion and change the world and shake it, be careful, because once you start losing your integrity, people see you as a rabble-rouser and someone who's just expressing an opinion. Your credibility goes down, and as a journalist, our credibility is everything we have. As soon as you start, having that shaken, people don't believe that you're telling a story because you're just making up stuff, or because you're giving an opinion. You lose that credibility, and people won't take you seriously. So be careful. I know that as a young person, you'll want to go out there and change the world, as I did. But throttle back a little bit and make sure that you have the facts when you write a story. And once you do, then all, no holds barred. You can, if you got the truth, then it's worth its weight in gold. But work hard in making sure that you have all your facts down. I would get an internship if you want to do radio or television at a radio or TV station, which is what I did. I started writing for my high school newspaper when I was in the 9th grade. I always wanted to tell stories. Read as much as you can, as I said, watch as much as you can. But most important of all, get an internship, because you'll get your foot in the door at a TV or radio or production company, and you'll find out, first of all, whether you like doing it at all. I don't care if you're not getting paid much money or getting coffee for the producers at any local TV station.
You have to start somewhere.
You start there, and when you're young, you can afford that. Do it for a year, and then you'll decide if you want to do it. And don't be afraid to speak up and say, I want to be on camera, or I want to shoot the camera, or I want to write the stories as a producer. Don't be afraid, because people will hold you back if you don't speak up for yourself, especially women and people of color. We have to keep pushing really hard. No one would hire me in television when I was 22 years old out of college, because in Texas it seemed every station had their one Hispanic reporter, and it's like, we don't need another one, we got one, we got a woman.
Yeah.
Now it was a different time. I would hope that things are better now, but it was tough, and it broke my heart. It almost killed me, inside. So, but I didn't give up. I went and I applied to Columbia University. And I got accepted to this Ivy League graduate school of journalism, which you should consider if you want, because you get to live.
You can do it.
You live in New York City. It's a kick-ass program. It's only 1 year, and you get a master's. And there's financial aid. Because when I got accepted, I said, great, now how am I going to pay for it? I can't afford this. It was like, back then it was $15,000, $20,000. Now it's $50,000. But I went and I knocked on every financial aid door, and I said, look, I've been accepted to your wonderful program, but I need help. I need a loan, grants, scholarships, fellowships. And they took kindly to my interest, and they submitted my name to a fellowship from NBC News. And I got an NBC fellowship to study at Columbia that paid for everything. It was
What's
a full
the fellowship mean?
It's a scholarship,
Okay.
but it also paid for tuition. It paid for tuition and housing and food and.
But not everybody can get that. You already had film and a whole portfolio on tape.
No, I didn't. I was a radio reporter. No, it was based on need and your own wits about you. So if you can go talk to these people and say, I deserve it, because I want to be a great journalist someday. That's all you have to work with. I was 22 years old. You're a young kid.
You could totally do it.
So
You're so chill.
you just have to push. It wasn't because I was very special. It was because I had the gall to demand, ask, plead.
Same thing my parents tell me. I
Yeah,
understand.
plead for it, and I just keep pushing. And I got it. So
And here you are.
here I am. It worked.
Both
Yes.
of us grew up watching your show.
Oh, man, that's
we were
wild.
honestly for the
That's crazy.
It's cursed that it got canceled because it like added more anticipation. Because we were both so starstruck.
Oh man.
Yeah, we were both like, we'll do it.
We want to do this, but we do have one more question
Yeah.
from this president speaker at the end of the day. What can what can students expect to hear from you on that? And if there's anything else that you want to get off your chest before?
I just hope that everyone pursues. I just hope everyone pursues their dream. Like I did. I want to remind kids that if I could do it, this kid who used to shine shoes on the streets of San Antonio, pick tomatoes in Ohio and cherries in Michigan, and if I could have my dream come true, then of course you can too. So I hope when people see me and they see that I'm a person of color, especially Latinos, but anyone of color, they can realize, listen, he inspired me. He reminded me that if he could do it, I can do it too.